Okay, hello everybody. This is Attorney Klopper. We are out in the Hollywood Hills and we are here promoting Intact Global's inaugural conference, March 29 to 31 in Portland, Oregon, right? And so we've had huge numbers show up thus far. Um, like, I was doing this daily live stream to sell tickets, right? And we only have 5 tickets remaining, which is epic, right? Because we had, 50 and now we have 5. And that doesn't include a lot of the speakers as well. So yeah, we are 11 attorneys, by the way. We got two more Portland attorney speakers, definitely at least one. And he was involved in the marriage equality case, right? Which is the exact uh, legal strategy that the intactivist movement is going to be uh, using, right? Challenging discriminatory laws that violate equal protection clauses in, well, could be equal protection clause, could be your privacy, your right to privacy, to marry who you want to love, whatever it is. And I think in an alternate universe, I'm very happy marriage equality was passed, by the way, but in an alternate universe, there might be the prohibition on genital cutting and then marriage equality. Or there may never have been this, strict Catholic, Christian, one man, one woman. That's like puritanical Christian too. They came around because it was no longer profitable to discriminate against the LGBTQ community. Um, Eric, we're going to need to see Mountain. Yes. So the most popular person on my stream is Mr. Mountain. If we can figure out how to do this, let's see. See, every day we have a little new setup to see what makes sense. Not it. Hey, Mountain. Hey, buddy. Can you say hi? I think he's eating some grass right now, which is extra tasty. There's a little extra stress in the household. Hey, buddy, Mountain. What's so tasty over there? Huh? Hey, buddy. Hi. Okay. Anyway, Mountain's doing good. He is alive and well. He is still a puppy. There we go. So yeah, we've got 5 tickets left. So if this is something that you are passionate about and care about, if you want to protect kids from genital cutting, well, March 29 to 31, we are hosting our first conference. And at the end of the conference, we will be suing the state of Oregon on equal protection constitutional grounds. As Carlton says, Mountain is a good boy for making you take a break for once, which is true. I was like, dude, I can't work anymore. I was getting a little just grumpy from working at all times. So anyway, we are making huge headway though, and thanks. We have an entire team of very dedicated and capable volunteers in Portland as well, and so you'll meet them because they are also great and are making sure this event is a success. But yeah, so it doesn't have to be one of the longest lives. If you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. And if you don't, well, we've already sold our tickets. So vegan atheist. No, Mountain is not fully black. He is what's called the brindle, right? So he's got gold flakes. It's from the Presa in his blood, which is a Spanish guard dog. If you look it up, I think it's called Presa de Presario. They're very large, very loyal, excellent guard dogs, very smart. And that's why Mountain is part him. But yeah, he's a very pretty boy. He's a very kind boy. He's very popular in the neighborhood. Everybody loves Mountain. But yeah, most importantly, we're day, I think 22 or 23 now, and mission accomplished. But I still want to do these lives in case you guys have questions. I'm happy to answer them. We are about to reach out to local press as well. And our network in Oregon is actually pretty deep, and I feel very good about it, right? It's a state that had a rate of circumcision like 24%, I think, in 2012. I think that's the numbers. And so we're talking about 1 in 8 children were genitally cut 13 years ago, and that rate was going down consistently. So we're talking about extreme rarities at this point in Oregon in terms of male genital mutilation. It's not a big thing there. And in other Western states, it's not a big thing either, because people just evolved out of it, right? It's an evolution. And they also, Medicaid didn't pay for it. Eric, do you think the state is already preparing a defense? Also, how long do you think it will take? Well, the arguments for and against, great question, Colston. I don't think the state is preparing a defense because let's say I was a state attorney. I would be like, okay, well, how do we come to a resolution that works for everybody? And that would be getting a judicial declaration. I guarantee you a good chunk of government employees who look at this are going to say, oh, you know, I really support this. So it's not antagonistic. Like you sue a hospital or a doctor, it is immediately antagonistic. And it's harder to get to a good resolution. And then they lawyer up with big law firms and just make it very expensive to litigate. And that's fine, and I could do that, but I can't litigate against multiple large firms at once, right? And that goes for local counsel and the other lawyers we find, the bigger the demand you put on their time. So anyways, the defenses that what Oregon's going to use has always been known. It's, well, it is, they're probably not going to go after religion because we're not talking about religious circumcision, but they might say, oh, well, right? Well, the medical body recommends it. In fact, every secular body in the world is against it. It's also elective cosmetic surgery on a child. So what would their defenses be? Well, they would argue that it has some medical benefit, that it's a parental right. What else? What made you want to become a lawyer? Well, Harvard terminated me, and I was like, you know what? I was going to go to grad school there, but that's no longer an option, and I have to sue Harvard. So it had some continuity there. I had some friends who were lawyers who I really admired, and I was like, you know what? I could do what they do, you know. And also, I like going to grad school. I thought it's way easier to be in law school than to run your own law firm. It's also, you know, inverse economic incentives for sure. But yeah, I knew lawyers who I admired, and it was a good 3-year break, because that sex and circumcision play, that was a lot of work to put together. It's pretty intense, right? I mean, this conference similarly, but I've got a lot more support now. And I think our culture and society are more prepared to deal with this, certainly than in 2018. So and it's only a 3-year degree, right? And I knew I was going to go to grad school, and like, you know, PhDs are 6 to 8 years, and then you're kind of pigeonholed into that. So, hey, Eric and Ocean Birth, what is the dinner reception slot from 6 to 8 p.m. on Saturday? Is it a day one version of the Founders Dinner? So great question, Iran. I saw you bought 2 tickets, which is epic. So excited to meet you in Portland in not this weekend, but the coming weekend. So it's coming up. So Saturday night is a buffet dinner in the Sentinel, right? And there's different tiers. I picked the nicest tier. You know, it's $10 more a person, but we have our own different Renaissance room, I think it's called, because we're going to be in the library during the day, which is a really nice venue and room and vibe. But for dinner on Saturday, we'll move to the Renaissance room, and it's the Sentinel's nicest buffet, and it's arguably the nicest hotel in Portland as well. So it's just gonna be a nice event. It's gonna be kind of like a dinner, then reception. You can have drinks, you can hang out. And the Founders Dinner is on Sunday, and it's only 22 people, and I've already you know, had negotiations. Can we make that bigger? And the reality is no, because that's how big the literal room is. And the 50-person venue, that's not expensive. The reality is like, look, it's not a good use of resources at this stage in the game. So yeah, the Founders Dinner is much smaller. Everyone goes to the dinner on Saturday. On Sunday, it's 22 people, and it's sold out, which is great, but people can't get more tickets. So that's what's going on. We are at one of the scenic points of my hike with Mr. Mountain, who is still with us. Hey, buddy, you want to say hi? There he is. And he's pretty good off leash, but if I'm doing a live, it's hard for me to pay attention to comments and whatnot. Well, good to know that the reception is poor here, and I'll go on different routes. Well, I think you guys get the point. March 29 to 31, Intact Global. Well, great question, Miss Fro. That's a great question. What is the dress code? You know, especially coming from me, right? it, well, as a lawyer, I'm probably going to wear a lawyer attire, but you know, business casual. If you want to wear casual, you can. I think business casual is the best look. It's good unified look. It's not too hard on anybody either. And it's not like we're going to not let, you know, it's a loosely recommended business casual. I'm going to be because, and I very the same, you know, fix the amount of patience. We have some technical difficulties, so give me a second. Okay, I think it's online. I forget what I was saying, so probably wasn't that important. I was probably talking about the the dress code. That's what you guys were wanting to know about. Yeah. I mean, business casual, if you wore casual, it's fine. It's Portland. You could also dress up too. It is an occasion. It's a nice hotel. I'm going to wear a suit and tie, or at least a suit, because, you know, I'm one of the attorneys on this thing, and that makes sense. It probably will not conclude in full nudity this time. I know that that was a popular addition in the last big event, but you know, we want to, let's say, stay on good terms with the Sentinel Hotel. So yeah, so that's the dress code. And again, there's only 5 tickets left. The purpose of these live streams were to promote the conference, Intact Global. Let's go, March 29 to 31 in Portland, Oregon. And the reality is we're just about sold out. And I think certainly by the event, we're going to sell the final tickets, and then we got a full house, which is great because that was the plan. You know, did I think that Intact Global's first conference was going to sell out and have more demand than supply? You know, I kind of did. Really, I thought that you guys would show out, and you totally did, and I appreciate that. But it is still a big victory because reality is it's time for us to do this, right? This is a time where we could challenge the genital mutilation of children and win, right? And when we win one state, we're going to win other states. It's that first state. And that's why we're going to sue a whole bunch of them if funding allows and if we have the plaintiffs, right? So one of these things is to show plaintiffs in other states, look, Dane Hadachek, lead plaintiff, legend, his parents, Sierra and Cecil, very supportive and very well spoken, and they've been harmed as well. And then we also have the Moody brothers, right? So, and literally win or lose, this is an excellent outcome for, oh, this might be too loud. What can you do to spread word about the lawsuit once it's filed? I want to get you on all the major networks. Well, we'll update our website. Obviously, you can read the complaint. You know, the first 4 pages gives you the gist of it, even the first 2. And then, you know, the overwhelming scientific, medical, and ethical body of research and peer-reviewed studies that demonstrate the obvious that it is harmful to sever the sex organs of a child upon birth, right? I mean, it's like proving the sky is blue, right? It's just tradition that we're fighting against. Yeah, so, you know, we'll have shareable websites, and then you can just pitch people, say, look, they're trying to make male genital mutilation illegal in Oregon. You could talk to the lead attorney. Here's his email. It's his name, eric@klopper.com. Is there a distinction between the tickets for the press conference and those who show up otherwise? Excellent question, Iran. The press conference are free tickets. It's just so we can take your information if you want to give it, so you can stay updated, right? Because we'll send you updates on the lawsuit. And it also kind of gives us a rough head count as to, because we'll provide coffee from Starbucks, right? And probably some other food items as well for free, just for attending, right? Because we want to get people out there. And, March 31st, Portland, Oregon, may not be the nicest weather, but it kind of shows, we're here for the children. It doesn't matter if there's inclement weather, right? We're going to do what is necessary to end the genital mutilation of children. That's the plan. We're not messing around, right? This is not a debate. I mean, we'll obviously argue it, but at the end of the day, it's an inexorable force of truth and justice. It's like, no, obviously you can't sever your child's sex organs at birth. It's beyond wicked, right? And it's so patently stupid, but we don't have to get into it. Yeah, just pitch it to people on podcasts. The reality is I'm already overextended. That's why I'm doing these lives while walking mountain. But pitch it to various podcasters and they can ping me. And even if I don't respond to your email, I will read it, right? And if it's a big platform, it's like, let's go, baby. Why not? Because the reality is I doubt CNN's going to be like, surprise, circumcision is male genital mutilation. That'd be epic, and it might take them 5 or 10 years. But the individuals, so we're working with a YouTuber now. He's got about 2 million followers. He's doing a little circumcision documentary, right? And so we need people, macro influencers, 1 million plus, to say, oh, I'm going to throw my weight behind this now. And that will greatly expedite our progress, right? So yeah, press conference, free tickets, just showing up, saying I'm showing up on Monday, March 31st in Pioneer Courthouse Square. And the regular tickets, those are for the 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, the 2 catered lunches, the buffet, coffee and drinks throughout the weekend, and also rental space and gratuities and tips and all that. So it's about $200 a person. I think it's actually a little more, but we're happy to have you there, right? And we want to sell out. We're not saying, oh, how much can we make? No. It's just we can't shoulder that entire cost, so we appreciate the $200 offset, right? Peter Adler, a defense to the medical benefits claim is that it's not medicine to cut off a healthy part of a child's body. It's simply violence. Doctors are only allowed to operate on a child when there is when the child needs the operation, medical condition, diagnosis, recommendation, last resort. Exactly, there needs to be a medical condition, and it is a fraudulent and obviously wrong claim that the equipment that everyone is born with is fundamentally defective in need of immediate amputation. And if you look at the numbers, European men have lower rates of STDs, higher rates of sexual satisfaction, lower rates of erectile dysfunction, and they do not cut off big parts of their penises at birth. And that is a direct causation, right? If you cut off a big part of your penis, like if you cut off your eyelids, your eyes are not going to work as well as they were designed to. It's the same with your penis, right? And the fact is we're dealing with over 120 million individuals who have undergone this amputation without consent. So it's a lot of huge sunk cost is what it is. It's the sunk cost fallacy that circumcision should be anything but illegal. That's keeping it. But the part of the sunk cost fallacy is it makes no sense to keep incurring the cost. It makes no sense to keep mutilating infants. It is total lunacy. And it's so easy to stop. It takes an affirmative act to cut off and sever a child's body part, right? Jody, mother of 3, because I found your lecture when I was pregnant with my first son, both my boys are intact. Epic. Super stoked, Jody. Glad to hear that the play worked. I know that, it saved a lot of children, so totally worth the job at the time. Landed on my feet, things are good. But I'm very, very pleased to hear you watched that video when it could help your children. I think the move is to republish the video. I mean, I don't want to take it down because there's so many good comments, but like 3,000 plus. But I think it might not trigger the same. Oh, Mountain, come on. Hi, let's go, buddy. I think it might not trigger the same sensors nowadays, right? People might say, oh shit, this makes sense. But let's focus on the press conference, March 29 to 31. I think we're going to wrap up the stream again. If you go to intact.global/conference, you can get your tickets. There are 5 remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I think after that, just like the founders dinner, we can't accommodate more. The room doesn't seat it. But anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for joining. I'm glad I was able to help you, Jody. And hopefully we're gonna have a lot more moms with your story and not the opposite, which is I found out too late. So, well, we're gonna leave it there. Okay, have a good night, guys.